At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like knowing you're covered when your house gets flooded, getting your settlements quickly and fairly when a fire hits your home, and making sure your business can keep going even after an accident happens on site. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
Attorney General Vincent Barron Jr. is signaling the government's intent to seek the court to expel former Prime Minister Dr. Denzil Douglas from the National Assembly because he possesses a diplomatic passport from Dominica. He made these pronouncements in the National Assembly on Tuesday.
This government, Mr. Speaker, would like to place on record our very deep concern that someone who has led this country for many years and who still sits in this parliament should hold a passport of a foreign country. And we say, as that result has shown an acknowledgement of allegiance, that he has shown an acknowledgement of obedience and adherence to a foreign state. This is what our Constitution says, Mr. Speaker, as Section 28, subsection 1. A person shall not be qualified to be elected or appointed as a member if he is, by virtue of his own act, under any acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state.
There is a suggestion that opposition leader Dr. Denzil Douglas may have made himself ineligible to sit in the National Assembly by virtue of possessing a diplomatic passport from Dominica, according to Member of Parliament for St. Christopher 8 and leader of government business.
I don't believe that any member of this Parliament who is by his own act demonstrate acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power or state ought to be sitting in this Parliament.
That's right, member for number 6, not here.
You see, Mr. Speaker, I say I'm duty bound because the publication in a recent issue of the St. Kitts Nevis Observer of a purported extract from a passport issued by the Commonwealth of Dominica to the Right Honourable Denzil Llewellyn Douglas, the elected member for constituency number 6. I have been bombarded since that publication by my own constituents with claims of hypocrisy.
Mr. Hamilton suggested that based on legislation, if Dr. Douglas acquired a passport of another country after he was elected, he could still be disqualified from sitting in the National Assembly.
I have looked at the offending passport and I've noticed that it is dated a few months after the holding of the general elections of February 16, 2015, in which the Honourable Member for St. Christopher 6 was elected by an overwhelming majority, the same elections which resulted in the recent change of government and the belated establishment of the present Team Unity government. I said, put it that way because for 2 years they prevented us from being the government. This would mean, Mr. Speaker, that on nomination day, the Honourable Member for St. Christopher 6 may well have been compliant with the oath of qualification for membership. And yet, Mr. Speaker, a mere 4 months later, the Honourable Member for St. Christopher 6, it would appear, by his own act, put himself in contravention of the rules constitutionally enshrined which militate against acknowledgement of allegiance, adherence, or obedience to a foreign power or state.
Mr. Hamilton recalled attempts by Dr. Douglas to inhibit 2 members of the People's Action Movement to participate in the 2010 elections for possessing passports of the United States. This, he said, led to adjustments to law to prevent persons with dual citizenship from being nominated to contest elections. Mr. Hamilton in 2010 was the subject of an election petition after the elections, where the Labour Party alleged he had a U.S. passport. Mr. Hamilton, based on court proceedings, proved he did not have a U.S. passport but a U.S. green card. He was not found by the court to be ineligible to sit in the National Assembly with this green card. Henika Watkins Porto for SKN Newsline.